started.
Welcome to this tutorial of the latest version of Blackboard Collaborate. My name is David Joyner, and I will be your moderator while we tour this application of rich media software for instruction. My presentation is an adaptation of a tutorial intended for a multiple of participants. However, this session will demonstrate the use and effectiveness of Collaborate's main features. It is common practice to record synchronous sessions for review and retention as an archive. These troubleshooting steps are used to help resolve audio problems. If you cannot solve the problem, your best bet is to put a message in the chat window saying that you are having audio troubles. Hopefully a moderator can take you aside and diagnose your difficulty. Collaborate can be a useful component of any distance learning experience. It functions as an electronic replication of a brick-and-mortar classroom by using several modern-day technological communication features. As you learn to use Collaborate, you will see how these features help to increase your feeling of being connected to your classmates, professors, and colleagues. Collaborate can help you make the most of your web-based academic opportunities. Taking classes in a distance education program is a real challenge. It can feel isolating. Using Collaborate helps to reduce and even do away with feelings of isolation. Because you interact in real time with people, you can hear their voices and see their faces. You feel as if you become part of a group. This slide shows the default layout. All buttons in Collaborate are single click. Double clicking will turn the feature on and then off again. The 5 items listed here are the most crucial features you will need to know when using Collaborate. These 7 items are additional features that will greatly enhance your experience. Collaborate has a polling feature. This feature enables the presenter to ask questions and get quick feedback. Moving clockwise, you see the talk feature. Obviously, this is what I'm doing currently. The send message, which provides a means to communicate in a chat window. Whiteboard tools are pretty much technological forms of chalk and eraser for a high-tech chalkboard. Next is the raise hand feature. This feature is important for good classroom management. Emoticons are available to allow participants non-verbal communication to the group and the presenter. And the away button, which allows participants to let folks know they are AFK, away from keyboard. During the next few slides, I will demonstrate a few of these features. Starting with the raised hand feature. This feature is important from an etiquette and classroom management standpoint, such as just as you would raise your hand in a class to be recognized by the teacher, you raise your hand in Collaborate to gain permission to take the microphone. What you will notice, here I'll click on it, what you will notice is a number appears next to the participant's name. This provides a numerical order to the questions and questioners and provides the order in which you would want participants to take the mic and ask questions. When you're finished asking your question, it's good etiquette then to click on that button again and lower your hand. Emoticons are a fun way to give quick feedback. Using these symbols reassures the presenter that people are out there and processing information, such as clicking on the happy face when someone says something funny or you're in agreement. And there you can see it next to my name. We can go with a confused look. That's useful. And then you have approval, or as you can see, disapproval. Okay. The last tool shown here in the participants window is the step away button. It looks like a person with a clock on their face, right there. If for any reason you need to leave the session for a while, click on this button. This lets others know that you are temporarily unavailable. Maybe you have to get a cup of coffee, take care of a child, or, I don't know, put out a kitchen fire. Then, when you come back, be sure to click this button again. This will let the instructor know that you have returned. There you see where it has the away next to my name. A little more about emoticons. There is a drop-down menu in the right side of the chat input. When you click on that smiley, you get a selection of icons to convey your nonverbal. So let's say I want to say something like "Hello World" in all lowercase or big there. Okay. And I will put a phone icon there, hit enter, and there you see it in the chat window. Can be fairly effective, fairly useful. All right. Another word about audio. By default, all participants are given microphone privileges, but you may attend other Collaborate sessions where participants are blocked from talking. In any case, always do the audio setup utility every time you enter a session. By using audio setup, you can ensure a successful session by setting your speakers and microphone to a comfortable level. The slider bars underneath your the audio video window are there to help you fine-tune your audio during a session. There should be mostly green and some yellow when you set the correct level. If you are seeing red, then the levels are too high and you should move the bars a bit to the left. Also, the audio video window will display the name of the speaker, so you will always know who is talking. A little more about audio. At the top right corner of the audio and video window, you will see a red starred microphone icon. This is a shortcut to the audio setup wizard. So you click on that, and of course I'm talking, so it won't let you run the audio setup wizard. Wait, I'll pause.
Welcome to the audio setup wizard.
Testing 1 2 1 2. And there you have a demonstration of the audio setup wizard. You can send text messages to the entire class or just an individual. However, anyone moderating the session can see all chats, so even if you send a private message to a participant, the moderator will see it, and even if the rest of the class cannot. The pencil icon next to your name indicates that you have permission to use the whiteboard. There are several tools available. I will demonstrate some of these tools on the next slide. So for example, I need to select the text tool, and then that little pop-up, you move to the right to the little pop-up, 18 point. Now let's make this a little bigger. Black is fine, serif's fine, so then I'll draw the little input window there, and I will put in title of a book I recently read. What would Google do? All right, then I'd like to, I want to highlight that, so you go to what looks kind of like a big pencil, click on that, oops, and there you can change your colors. So let's go with a nice green, I like green, and where it says the stroke, we want it fairly large. Okay. And then you can draw, oops, that came out a little too, so we need to move that to where it becomes more of a highlight. Oops. Let's try a different color. That's a little better. There we go. And then lower. So it takes a little bit of time to set this up. Perfect. All right. So I wanted to highlight that, so let's go to the Select tool, go back to the Select tool, and in this case I'm going to show you how to highlight things you don't want, then hit the Delete key on, or you can right click and delete the object. Delete the object. So I made a lot of objects. There we go. Okay. Delete that object. Alright, we will now go back to the highlight. Looks like it's still set, and there we go. I'm going to highlight the book. Okay. And then I want to move things around. So go back to the move. And if you notice, you're just moving the single item. So what I want to do is move both items together, the title of the book and the highlighting. So you go off here, left click, drag through, that collects the items, and then you can see you can move both items around. Now this would be an example of an interactive participant involving activity, which would be to use the selector tool. They would pick the pointer icon of their choice. Let's go with the X for me. And then they would put where they were born, and I was born in Oroville, California. Okay. And you, depending on the number of participants you have in here, you would have a number of X's, fingers, or stars. Now polling is pretty interesting. There are two types of polling, the yes, no, and the multiple choice. For this exercise, I would want to make sure we have the yes, no, which is it's the default, the yes, no. So if you look over here to the left, the participants can answer any given question given to them with a yes or a no. And then as the moderator, you are able to publish the polling. And then they appear in the center of the whiteboard. Changing it to multiple choice, then your participants are given that option when they hover over that icon. And in my case, I want to be a C. And then again, go to the polling as a moderator, and you are able to publish the responses. So this is a very useful tool and could be very, very interesting. Again, be cautious as to, it does show, no, it is anonymous. Yes, it wouldn't show who is doing what per se. So you could probably ask some fairly pointed questions. You can take notes in Collaborate, and it will save your notes to the session. If you have the opportunity to return to the archived recording, your notes will still be there and synchronized with the presentation. So again, showing notes, you go to Window, Show Notes, and then you can type most anything you want to have comments on, which is Then you are able to download these to your computer, save them for later review, or upload if you had some notes that you want to use while doing a presentation. We'll close that. Now, saving a chat window and the whiteboard can be very useful if they contain important information. Let's go back. To do that, of course, you go up here to go to File, Save. You'd save the chat. Again, goes into your documents as a text file. Or if you want to save, the participants list, same idea. Or the whiteboard. Maybe a particular page, maybe all the pages. So we'll cancel that. Now, moderators can create rooms that you can move the participants into. To create a breakout room, a little tricky here. Let's see how we do. Best to go to Tools, Breakout Rooms, create a breakout room, and we will title this Breakout Room. I only want one, and I do not want to move the participants in at this time. This is something you can set up before you actually start the session, which probably is better, but if you need to do it on the fly, that would work too. Now, if you look down over here, it goes from main room, several breakout rooms, okay, and we're in a breakout room. Now, when you go to the breakout room, everything is brand new. So what ends up happening is you have to reset your video. You have to turn your talk back on. And then you can see that my microphone is starting to bounce again. You can load content. And this is the same way you do things. Breakout, basic training. Breakout room graphic. Instead of a PowerPoint, this is going to be a JPEG. And there you go. And then this would be the activities that you'd have folks do in the breakout room. You can preset them, preload the pictures, and it's very useful. You can see that it's identical to the main room, except nothing is recorded by Collaborate in a breakout room. It's like a digital Vegas. What's said in the breakout room stays in the breakout room. Oh, except for the whiteboard. It can be moved to the main room. If something, great things are done with the different collaborative groups, then that can be imported back into the main room and put on as a presentation. Just like a face-to-face brick and mortar classroom. So let's go back to the main room. And you need to remember that if you've had video on, if you've had your microphones on, when you go back to the main room, all that turns off again, and you need to remember to turn all that back on again if you're going to address the group. All right, we're back. A few more items. Breakout room. What else can Collaborate do? Well, you can share desktop applications. In other words, you can show people the software you have running on your desktop. When you click on this icon, you'll see a window pop up, and you can select an application you have running from that list. In this case, I'm recording in Camtasia, and I have Blackboard itself. But when you select one of these items, then it would show up on the main desk. So let me take a second, though. Okay, you can see that I've opened up a PDF. I will go there. There it is. And if I pops around, and then as you can see now, that is what's in the Collaborate page. So I would be able to show this PDF, talk about what's in there. So when I'm done, there is a stop button. The computer will jump around and be a little bit scary, and then it's back. So now we're back to. So you need to make sure you caution your participants that the screens are going to jump around, be a little different. They'll be slow to load and things like that. But it is a useful tool. However, when you click on this icon, make sure that you don't have anything running that that you might accidentally click on. Be careful, because I once had a text document open and it had passwords, usernames and passwords, which I then had to change. It wasn't very many, just a couple, but still, you need to be careful. Web tours. So this is pretty much like a web browser. You can type in an address. And when you hit enter, it will go to the address that you type in there. Also, this is a fully usable web browser, and if you notice, it says follow me. You could click on things, and and it won't. You don't have that control. I click on things, you'll see where we're going and whatnot. Okay. Moderators and instructors who are made into moderators can push files. They can upload files so that the participants and the students are given these files that you would not necessarily want to show on the whiteboard, but that you would want them to have. So if you go to Window, File Share Transfer Library, and of course this can be preloaded. But again, if a moderator preloads this, when people enter into the session, they're forced to take these documents. But you'd add and I would upload that. It takes anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes. There we go. Then these can be available to the participants. Loading content. You did already see a brief demonstration of loading a graphic into a breakout room. But again, loading content, this is how you get your PowerPoints into the whiteboard. So you'd find the file that you would want. Those are PowerPoints. Hit open, and then it will process them. What you need to know is you need to have a version of Microsoft Office PowerPoint in your machine. I have on occasion tried to upload PowerPoints into the whiteboard on machines that did not have PowerPoint, and they won't do it. And if this is crucial and you've moved compute, in other words, you kind of need to make sure the equipment that you use to do an important session is the equipment that you practiced and created everything on, if at all possible. And you saw this at the very first seconds of this. It's turning the recording on and off. When you hit that button in the upper right hand corner, it will open a confirmation window. You'll say yes, and you'll hear the voice say recording started. And when you hit this button again, which you'll hear at the end, it will say recording paused or stopped. At which point, also, archives are not compiled until, like, I was the first moderator in, I should be the last moderator out, and then that helps speed the compiling and posting it to wherever your archives would be hosted. It's important to sign in with your name you are enrolled under. The instructor you are may be taking attendance, and if you use a different identifier, it may not know that you were the person. So these are the good practices when going to class. Moderator, you need to be a moderator to do these tasks I have listed here. However, and again, anyone watching this, I'm using, I have available to me CCC Confer, which is available to community college instructors in California. This Blackboard Collaborate is my 30-day free trial. I'll give you more information about that at the end. Is my 30-day free trial of using Blackboard Collaborate. One last word on best practices. It is best to use a headset with Collaborate to reduce feedback and whine problems. Get to your session early enough so that you can complete the audio setup wizard. You should do the wizard every time. Remember that the buttons on Collaborate are single click. Use Emoticons. They liven up a session and let the moderators and instructors know that you are out there following along. Use the whiteboard only when asked. Just as you wouldn't go to the front of a class and start doodling, you do not doodle on the whiteboard during a session. Everyone will see what you are doing. Thank you for attending this session. You can find more information about Collaborate at www.blackboard.com. There you will find links and information about advanced trainings in Collaborate. And this is more information about that 30-day free trial that's available to everyone. And one final word is, how do you get out of here? Simply, it's the bright red button in a Windows platform. It's the bright red button in the upper corner, or Macs have it in the upper left. However, you can also hit exit. So I will stop the recording now.
Recording stopped.
And say goodbye.